Hello everyone, it's me, Phoebe. I've been working really hard today making this really cute little apron. I hope you like it. Will you come and join me whilst I make it? So I've gone ahead and I've cut all the pieces out. This is your bib and you want it to be 6.5 inches this way and you want it to be 4 inches this way, and then you want to take it and just fold it in half like that, and then you want 2 strap pieces, and the straps are 9.5 by 3 inches, and you want 2 of those. And then you want 1 big long piece, which is going to be your waistband, and it is going to be 28.5 by 3. Okay, and then what you're going to do is that, and then you want your skirt piece, and your skirt piece is going to be 7 inches by 21 inches. Then we're going to just do some folding. So we ironed that one and folded it in half, just like that. So that is your bib piece on the front. Your 2 straps, what you want to do is fold in one end on 1/4 inch, and then fold the whole thing in half and iron it. Open it back out and fold that piece in like that and that piece in like that, and then taking the whole thing you want to fold it in half just like that. Okay, and do exactly the same with the other piece. And then lastly, now I didn't have quite enough, so I've made a join in mine to make sure that I had the length. I used a fat quarter to do this, so I'm just going to I just joined it, so you can do the same if you wish. So what I did then was I did 1/4 inch and I folded that one over, and 1/4 inch and I folded that one over. Then I folded the whole thing in half like that and ironed it, and then I folded this side in like that, and then I folded that side in like that, and then once I'd ironed all of those pieces I folded that piece over and I ironed that piece as well. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to put a hem on our skirt. Now with the skirt, what I did was I took my piece of cardboard and I folded my piece of fabric up onto the 1/2 inch mark. And this is where I've marked it for 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch. Okay, so I folded it up onto the 1/2 inch mark, and then I ironed right across it, and then I opened it up, and where that mark was I laid my piece of fabric on top and ironed right across the top, and then I folded that back and ironed right across the top again. So you've got a really nice hem there, all the same length. And then once I'd finished that, I turned it to the side and I did exactly the same, but this time I made sure that my end was sitting under, and I folded that one under once like that, and then that one over just the same like that. So now we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to just put a hem onto this piece of fabric. So if you wish, you can pin this down, but I'm just going to go around like this because I think this is going to work quite nicely as it is. So what I'm going to do is just do a few stitches on, a few stitches back, and then we're going to come all the way down and around. I'm just keeping it on the very edge of this piece of fabric. You can see this, okay? I'm just going to pop my needle in the down position. I'm just going to come in and let that pop into that piece of fabric there. That's it, okay, lovely. And I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to make sure this is all laying lovely and lined up. And I'm going to come straight the way across here. Trying to keep my hands out of the way. When you do it, make sure your hands are up here holding it and supporting it. just coming in here to my end. I'm just going to roll that end in so it's how it should be laying. And becoming nice and slow and make sure that slips under and onto that. Then I'm going to turn it because I've got my needle down. It hasn't come out at all. And then I'm going to go right up to the top. And do a little back stitch. So once you've done that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change to a gather stitch. So I'm just going to change the length of my stitch to the biggest stitch which I have, and I'm going to come along here and I'm going to stitch my first row of stitches at 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to lift my needle because I like to put my piece of fabric underneath my so it's just sitting underneath my foot. And I'm going to do a nice long row of stitches, keeping this piece here on that edge there. Do not put a back stitch in it, otherwise it'll be really hard to gather. Okay, take that one out and make sure you leave a nice long end on it. So this time I've got my foot under the edge, but I'm actually coming up here, and on here is a line. I'll just move it this way a tiny bit. I don't know if you can see that there is a line just here. Can you see that line? Probably not. There's lines on my sewing machine. I'm going to follow the line which says 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm going to go along all the way along, and keeping this, I'm going to be watching this piece of the fabric and making sure that's touching 1/2 inch. Don't do a back stitch on the end. So you've got your gathering and you've got it lovely and sitting nice and square. So I'm just going to put this to the side for 1 minute whilst we prepare this next piece. So this next piece is going to be the straps on our apron. So I'm taking this piece here. Now what you can do before you start is just do a line of stitching here, and this is just going to be a line of top stitching. Once you've done that, you're going to take your 2 straps and you're going to lay them flat on there like that, and then you're going to place this at the bottom of there, and you're going to come across and you're going to pin it all the way up there so that it's sitting like that and it's sandwiched. So you've got that side is in it and that side is inside it, and you're going to do that on both sides. So I will go and put my top stitch across there, and I will then put my pins all the way down this side, and you're going to do it on that side. What you need to make sure is that this end where you folded it under like that goes at the top, okay, and then you're going to place that one on there, get them nice and lined up with the bottom, line it up with that line in the middle, then fold it over and pin that all the way down on both sides, just like that, and then we will come back. So I'm just going to do my top stitching across here, but before I start I need to make sure that I put my stitch length back to my normal stitch length, because I don't want this on that gathering stitch. And we're just going to do a straight stitch straight across. You don't need to do a back stitch on this. This is just going to hold this in place. So I'm just put my foot on, it's just touching on there, and I'm just going to very slowly come on. Okay, and I'm just going to stitch just here on this line coming up like this, okay? And my needle is not on there, so I'm going to just get it on there. So it's actually, so I'm going to move it. That's it, there we go. So we're going to have that nice and close to this edge here. We're just going to run a straight stitch. I'm going to go on, and then do a couple of back stitches, and then right to the very end. Just take your time. Just try and stabilise it in my hand. You obviously would be able to put your hand here, but then obviously it takes the shot right out of my camera. Right, so we're here, and now what I would like to do is I'm going to just pick it up and turn it like that. And I'm going to run across the top here. Okay, and then we're going to turn it all the way back around again, and we're going to come down this side nice and straight, just like we did before. Job seeing where the line is. There we go, and then just do a back stitch. Okay, and do exactly the same on the other side. Okay, so this is my little clip here which I've made, which is my middle, and this is the center of my clip here, and I want to put it so that that folded line there is touching the very bottom of that piece of fabric, so that when you fold that back, that fold will sit there. And then I will also so I'm going to put a line of stitches just across the bottom there like that, and then I'm going to put another line of stitches across this area here where the middle line is drawn. So I'm just going to come in, so you just need to make sure that where that line is there, it's going to be touching, so that you've just got 1/8 of an inch of fabric underneath. Okay, so once you've got that on, then pin that in place. Sorry, that is quite hard to go through several layers there. Do that one the same, make sure that's still in the right place, haven't moved it at all, and then the one in the center, and then we're just going to take that to the sewing machine, and we're going to do 2 lines of stitching. We're going to do a line of stitching across here, and we're going to do a line of stitching across there. Well, just check on your back with your tape that you have got the same amount, and that should be 1/2 an inch there, and just over 1/2 an inch there, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to do this one, and when we sew this one on, we're just going to come just over that line there, okay? But we will start by sewing this center line here. We're just going to stitch straight across there, do a back stitch there and a back stitch there. So I've just sat my needle just before the start of it, and I'm going to come on, do a few stitches back, and then go all the way across, keeping on that ironed line. There's a few stitches backwards. There you go. Okay, so lift that one, and then we're going to take it back now, and we're going to do it the same again on this edge here. We're just going to come in the tiniest little bit from where that line is. So you've just got the tiniest little bit of it. There we go. Okay. The back stitch. And straight across on that line. And the back stitch. Just in there. Okay. So you should now have a piece which looks like this. Okay. So when you open it up, I'm just going to remove these odd threads so that you can see it a bit better. There we go. So when you open it up, it should look like that. Now I've just been over and I've measured my doll's waist, and it is 12 1/4. So I need my skirt, because I don't want my, I need the bottom of my apron skirt to be 11 1/4, because I want to have a bit of gap at the back. You can make it shorter or you can make it wider. So all you want to do is to take 2 of your threads like that, and you're going to just gather this up until you get 2 1/4. And can you see how nicely it gathers when you've got 2 stitches? You get a much more even gather than you did with just the 1 row of stitches. Okay, and then I'm just going to come in from this side just the same and do the same. And I'm going to start measuring up and see whether I've got my 11 1/4. A bit more. Let's move these along a bit so we've got a bit more of an even gather. So let's do a bit more. A tiny bit more, and that is it. There we go. So I'm just going to tie these 2 threads on this side to the 2 back threads there, just so we can keep that from unraveling. I think I dropped one there. Let's do that again. So just tie these 2 threads to that one. One and 2, and do the same on this side. Yep, that's it. So you just want to get those 2 lots of threads and just give them a little, just a knot. Just this will just stop it from unraveling, because that's really annoying when that all starts to come undone, or a thread breaks whilst you're working with it. Something like that happens and it's just really, really annoying. It's not so bad with this one because it's only a small one. Right, so now what you want to do is just work your gathers along and make sure they're all sitting nicely, and you don't want a big bit where there's no gathers at all. You want to make sure your gathers are nice and even all the way along. At the moment I've got more on this side than I have on the other side. So now we've got our piece of fabric. So this now will be, this is the back of your apron, so it should lay like this, okay? And you're going to fold this piece up like that, is that right? So once you've done that, what you need to do is just come along here and do a little zigzag all the way across the bottom of this piece here, alright? So larger foot with a hole in the centre, a bigger hole, so it's got a much wider mouth there. I'm just going to come along. I'm going to do a very, very, very small zigzag just across this bottom, just to neaten it. A little bit bigger than that. There we go. I'm going to do a back stitch and right the way to the end now. This will just neaten this whole area back up. And then a back So I'm taking my skirt and I've worked out that that is the centre of my skirt there. So I'm just going to place that onto where that little notch is. And I want it to sit so that the top of that is sitting where those stitches are. And then I'm going to bring this piece down and over, and I'm going to encase the two seams just like that. And then I'm going to do that all the way along, making sure those seams sit nice and flat like that. So you might want to put these in first and get that length straight to there, along like that, and then come over with your other piece and lay that down. Make sure those pieces are all touching in that centre, and you can probably see where that centre is because it should come up at a 1/2 inch, which is how big this seam is going to be. So that will go like that, and then you can pin it all the way along this side, all the way along that side, keeping those in that centre like that, that folded down as it should be. Come along like that, and then bring this over and fold that over just like that. Okay, so I should just come along now and pin this. Keep checking that that is definitely sat where you want it to be. Come over and pop a pin in it. So before you start to stitch, just make sure you've gone back to your ordinary stitch, and then we're going to come along and we're going to stitch nice and close to this edge. Do a few back stitches and then go all the way around. So when you get to the end, just drop your needle in, and then we're going to turn the fabric. So we're just going to turn the fabric like that, drop our needle again, and we're going to come up across the end, and then we're going to turn our fabric right the way through. We're going to come back down, and we're going to put a top stitch on the end of this piece as well. So when you get here, you're going to just turn it again. So it's going like that, and we're just going to stitch down. And then do a few back stitches. And there you go. So here it is. It's all done, apart from we need to add some fastenings to it. So what you need to do is now put it onto your doll. Do these straps up, just tie around the back like that, and you can just do that into a little ribbon like that. Okay, so you've got a little ribbon hanging here at the back, just like that. And then what you'll need to do is bring these straps over, and they fasten on there like that. So one goes under that side and one goes under that side. And I think the best thing to do would be to put a piece, either a piece of Velcro on either side, or a piece or a pop fastener. You can choose whichever you like, and you know how to put the Velcros on. One piece has to go on this piece and one piece has to go on the inside of the strap, and the same with the pop fastener, so whichever you choose. And then I will bring it back and show you what it looks like on the doll. I hope you enjoyed this video. Goodbye.